Retro Hangover is supported via Patreon by listeners like you. We would especially like to thank patrons Lyle McCarnes and Ashton Ruby. Your continued engagement and generous donations are deeply appreciated.
Open your ears and crack some beers. You are listening to episode 71 of Retro Hangover.
And hello, retro and classic gamers. Welcome to the podcast where we are nightly knocking ninny ninjas with Nintendo nunchucks that nimbly knock off ninja knickers who wear masks, as they should. This is episode 71 of the Retro Hangover podcast. I am your co-host, Chris Copleen, with our Nintendhost LPTyger, and, as always, your host, Shane Gripping Dick Dragon Walskoski.
Yeah, ninjas are the real heroes of social distancing. They stay in the shadows. They wear a mask. You know.
I'm just saying they need to wear them because ninjas should wear masks. I'm not making social commentary at all.
Appropriate. I didn't realize that's what we're doing here.
That's actually the whole reason that we're doing this episode.
Yeah,
it's just one big social commentary. It's guised as a Ninja Gaiden episode.
It's PSA. Welcome to Ninja Gaiden. Yeah. Hi.
That's right.
Welcome to Retro Hangover.
I'd like to compliment you on your very close to Michael Buffer yell there.
I know. Like I said in a previous episode, they need to pay me to do midget wrestling announcing. I think I'd be pretty good. I mean, little people. I'm sorry. Jesus Christ. Little people wrestling announcing. I just got to be very careful with my words.
I still don't know how we went from you sound like a European football announcer to little people wrestling. I mean, not that I'm like, against it or anything. I still haven't really made that connection.
I could do both.
Sure. Yeah.
I can pretend to be European. I don't know where my accent would fit. I don't think anywhere, but I can pretend. I have a terrible English accent. The English once I was trying to do an English accent one night. It's called what'd they call it? I think it was Trafalgar Night. No, it wasn't called Trafalgar Night. It was called something else. If I can remember, Pickle Night for the HMS Pickle. And what they do is they celebrate the voyage of the Pickle after the Battle of Trafalgar to let Queen Victoria know that the battle is victorious. So it's very, very silly, and it's great. And they had me do this speech because you get to throw food at everybody, and you make all these rules. And the point is just to get absolutely blisteringly drunk and to just have a ridiculous raucous time. It's such a good time. But in any case, I got up and I tried to do a British accent, and they laughed at me and they said, how did you go from having a shitty British accent to sounding South African? I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know. I don't even know what South Africans sound like. But thank you. Apparently, they can tell. I can't.
I just feel like Voyage of the Pickle is some sort of like heretofore unknown euphemism that I feel like I need to use at some point.
It might be. I think that's kind of why it's celebrated. Who knows? And okay. if you doubt me, just Google Pickle Night. Okay, you dress up in an anachronistic
search
fashion.
With safe search on.
No, it's not that bad. I hope. In any case, like they dress up in anachronistic clothing, so like you're wearing a striped shirt, like old piratey stuff. The Marines wear old Marine garb, and the women dress like bar wenches.
You're Navy LARPing. That's what this is.
Yeah, British Navy LARPing.
Okay, great, fantastic. Yeah, the SCA. All right, got it.
Yeah,
I googled midget wrestling. And I didn't realize
Little People Wrestling, Tiger.
No,
Little
it's right wrestling. Here. Wikipedia says midget wrestling. There's extreme midget wrestling. I think they
only on FX.
Yeah. They call it midget wrestling. So here I am.
I mean, if they're embracing it, I guess it's okay. I don't know.
It's like hearing impaired or deaf. Like deaf people. Oh no, I'm going too deep here.
I mean, if that's their preferred nomenclature, then that's totally fine.
Yeah. I'm sure it's okay.
I just want to know what the difference now is between, like, just your standard run-of-the-mill midget wrestling and extreme midget wrestling.
But they use barbed wire in extreme midget wrestling.
Fire involved?
Probably.
I need to see this.
It's like ECW. In any case, this is a video game podcast. So
let me tell you about marble racing. Have y'all seen this? No.
Well, that's called Marble Madness, which maybe one day we will get to.
Oh, that'd be great. I'm in.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a good quarantine topic, given the popularity of marble racing these days.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I wouldn't mind talking about balls.
Who doesn't?
Hey, glad we brought that one back around.
And we're in Florida, so it's nice and sweaty. In any case.
Sure is.
It's awful outside. But as we do on this podcast, and we talk about what we have been up to lately and what we've been playing. So let's start off the show that way as we transition into that and get this going before we talk about our wonderful topic, which is Ninja Gaiden. So without further ado, Tiger, what have you been up to? What have you been playing, man?
Man, I totally forgot we do this segment, and like I'm excited because I've been playing Fall Guys on the PlayStation 4, and that's that's like the hype. That's the thing right now.
Oh yeah.
It's, if you don't know what Fall Guys is, it's basically Mario Party online without being pissed off at 3 people. Now you're pissed off at 59 other people. So
it's like digital MXC or like Wipeout.
Yeah, that's what people usually. I attribute it. I'm I'm a Nintendo guy, so Mario Party is the closest thing. Mario Party, you spin. There's a spinner, and you jump over the little arm, and then Fall Guys has the same thing. I'm very good at it, but the game's physics are really awful, and there's a reason. There's a reason why platforming with 59 other people usually hadn't been done up to now. Latency issues and just people are assholes.
Wow, go figure.
Yeah, but they did make it easy for anyone to jump in because there's literally jump, grab, and is that it? Am I missing something? I think that's it.
I don't know.
Jump and grab.
I think you can dive, right?
Oh, dive. That's right. I was like, there's 3. There's got to be 3. Jump, dive, and grab. That's literally it. So anybody
Sounds
can
like
jump
Mario.
in. Yeah, pretty much. Easy, casual game, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. And it's, you jump right in, and you have friends on. They jump right in. You have a good old time. That's what I've been doing the last probably 2 weeks or so.
And if you have PS Plus, the game's free right now, right?
Yeah, yeah. And people have Steam, and I'm like, why would you pay $20 when you can pay free?
Yeah,
assuming
have you won? Have you won rounds?
Yeah, I think I've won 7 because the trophy told me that if I win 7, I get that trophy. So I've won 7.
Nice. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
What's your currently preferred costume for your little dude?
Costumes. I generally don't give a crap about DLC and costumes and crap, but oh my god, I love being a hot dog. It's actually the way they do it, usually free to play games have like a season pass that you have to, or you don't have to, but that you can buy to get extra crap. Well, in this, I guess the game is supposed to cost money, but since it's PS Plus, it feels free. So I'm in the season pass and I'm just getting free stuff as I level up. So hot dog is one of them, and I love being a hot dog.
I've seen the little dinosaur costume too. I like that one.
Yeah. You start off as a wolf costume. There's a lot of other costumes. You can buy hamburgers and fries and squishies. And
I'll just wait until that turns free to play on Steam, and then I'll get on it. Or Switch. Why isn't it on Switch?
Yeah, I figured that it'll probably be on Switch one day, but for now it's only PS4 and Steam. So
very upset by that.
Yeah. But
like, not even Game Pass people get a good deal.
You mean for Xbox?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even on Xbox. So I don't know what happened with that.
Nope. To be fair, no one is on Xbox.
Also true. Hot take right there.
I have a Game Pass membership and I haven't touched it. Yeah.
You got like 120 months for like $120.
Yeah, I did. I have a lot of months, but No reason to play it, but it is the main console that I use when I want to watch Disney Plus.
Yes. Well,
So
I mean, wasn't that their original intention anyway? Like, remember when they revealed
Xbox
it and they were all just like, yeah,
the
look,
one place to play.
Look, you can pass through all of your cable to this. People still do that,
still
right?
Can do that. Yeah,
Holy
it has
shit.
Xbox. It has HDMI in and out.
Yeah.
So I can play my Switch on my Xbox.
Yes, you can.
We're truly living in the future.
That's terrible. All right, Shane, how about you? What have you been up to?
So I have decided that much to the complete opposite of my usual tact with things, I've come to the conclusion that I am done with Final Fantasy 13. I feel like I have done what I needed to do in it. I finished the story. And I feel like that's good because I was going to go and finish all like the Seath Stone, like side missions and like the post game content and try to get like all the ultimate weapons. And then I just had this moment where I was like, but why?
Yeah.
And then I didn't go back and play it. So I'm done with that. I felt like I got what I needed out of it. I'll probably do a rapid fire review on it, and perhaps someday we'll do a full episode on it. So that's done. And so in my quest to finish the rest of my Xbox 360 games that I own and have not played, so that I can actually package that console up for good, I realized that I really only have 2 left. I have Resident Evil 5, which I actually may or may not play. I've not heard fantastic things about it, but I did start playing Sacred 2, which, for those of you unfamiliar, it's basically kind of like a Diablo clone in a lot of ways. It's really similar to like Titan Quest. Actually, it gives me that kind of same sort of feel as far as the aesthetic goes. But so I started playing that. I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. I will say that the voice acting is hilariously bad. I'm playing
always the best voice acting, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I decided to play, I think it's called not a Shadow Warrior, because that's what we're talking about today, but it's a Shadow something. Yeah, it's a Shadow something. And like, I swear to God, they must have just told the voice actor, just be like, okay, imagine yourself in Hot Topic circa 1998. You're this kind of edgelord. Okay, go.
I don't have to imagine that.
And I know you don't. But that's basically how this guy delivers all of his lines. Like, one of the random quips that he has when you're just kind of like running around like town or whatever is he says something like, "Oh, the sight of all of these townspeople suffering just brings me such joy." And I'm like, cool story, bro. Like, it's so bad. But the gameplay is actually pretty fun, and the quests and stuff are pretty cool. So I'm actually enjoying my time with it, and y'all know I'm a pretty big Diablo guy, so it's kind of scratching that itch for me right now. But that's pretty much the main thing that I'm kind of diving into. I'm still in the process of trying a second playthrough of Etrian Odyssey for my 3DS, because I had gotten really far into that like years ago and then never finished it. And so, of course, I got to the point where I came back to it, where I'm sure we've all been there, and you open up a game and you pull a Gandalf and you're just like, I have no memory of this place, which is exactly what I did. So I just started over. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But that's pretty much me right now, man. I don't know. What about you, Chris? What are you up to?
I think first and most importantly, I just got to say that I have graduated college officially. It has been approved. So I am getting my bachelor's of science in political science with a minor in criminal justice. And I should be getting cum laude, which is always A+. So yay for me. Right. I'm going to get drunk, which is something I usually do anyway. So there's always that.
But now it's special.
Now it's special. Now I can be happy while I'm drunk. I mean, that didn't sound right. In terms of video games, moving on. Finished Romancing Saga. I'm going to try to get a rapid fire review out for that, because I just wrapped up the rapid fire for Mario, the 1,000-Year Door, Paper Mario. which I think is fitting with Origami King. I need to check that out. It strikes me as a game that Tiger might play. I don't know if you've played it or not. Have you played Origami King, Tiger?
I'm way off with the Paper Mario series as a whole. So it's on a radar, although I don't know how far that radar is.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Paper Mario series has kind of taken it's popular to not like it right now, and apparently for good reason. So I can't really talk to that because I haven't played. Like I said, I played the 1,000-Year Door. I haven't played one in the series since, but I did finish Romancing Saga. I will say that the ending kind of brought everything together in terms of the obtuseness to it. Because, of course, you're going through and you just randomly pick up quests, much in the same vein that you would in the Elder Scroll games. And it just seems like you're doing these quests because that's the thing to do. Because the game gives you a basic plot line of what you're supposed to do and gives your character motivations. And then once you finish the initial arc of getting from point A to point B, it just says, go. And I know I've said this in a previous episode, so I know this is like the third episode in a row I've talked about it. But it's still a good game, and if you do like Square RPGs, you like something a little bit different, there's a lot to like there, and I'll embellish on that in the review for our patrons. So if you want to hear that, check it out there. In terms of what I'm playing after that, I have no fucking idea. I don't know what I'm going to play right now. I want to play Nier, but I gotta sneak into the living room because that's my children's dominion now. I know it can just be like, get the fuck out, but then they fight in their bedroom. And that's not fun. And then I try to have them go outside and it feels like 108 degrees. And I know that's not fun. So it's this balancing act of, trying to be an adult and enjoy myself with the hobby I love. Or I can just sit and play retro games. Difficult. So it's everything. I have all these new games and I got to play them at some point because a lot of them are still in the wrapper and I feel terrible about it. But now I understand how people still get all these new games that are still sealed. I've been wondering for a long time, how the fuck do people get sealed games? And now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, oh, I get it now. And it's embarrassing.
It's all intentions.
So that's me. And I know I went beyond what I'm playing. And I sound like a very depressed, single 45-year-old that just got denied on Twitter for the 25th time. But I want everyone to know that I'm okay. I'm just trying to figure out what game I need to play next. Okay? I'm going to be all right.
Like weirdly specific, but go on.
Well, I'm not in my 40s, Shane. I'm not on Tinder. Okay?
Man,
so it's going to be all right.
I swear I knew your age. Tricked me.
Well, shit.
I was looking at our like tentative recording schedule to answer your question of like what should I play next, and then I realized that everything that we've got coming up, I think you've already played. So I don't know. It's a good question. I guess you're gonna have to branch out and open up one of those sealed copies that you've purchased,
or buy or play one of those. Not buy. I don't need to buy anything. I probably will anyway, but play one of those games I got like 6 years ago that I still haven't plopped into one of the systems and sat down and genuinely gave a chance because I have plenty of those. Hooray for collecting.
I was gonna say, depending as a reseller, when I find that I've sealed games and I was like, I want to play this. Wait, how much is this used?
Dude, I did that exact thing. Actually, Chris stopped over the house like a week or two ago now, and I had some things that were kicking around that I actually sort of pseudo inherited from my future brother-in-law because he lives in Australia now. Ooh. And I had a complete in-box copy of Pokemon Gale of Darkness for GameCube. And went and looked, and Chris was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's selling for a lot. And he went and looked, and I may have just sold that thing like last week for about $110. So thank you, Quarantine, for like doubling the price of that game.
Yes, absolutely.
He could have done me a solid and been like, I know you're a collector. I know you'd appreciate this, Chris. Be like, yeah, I would definitely appreciate this.
Hey man, times is hard. I need that cash money.
Patron Lyle did me a solid. I'm just putting that out there.
Oh, you know what? I won't argue against that. Patron Lyle might just be a better person than me, and that's okay. I mean, he's finished fucking the 4-job Fiesta legitimately, and I'm probably not.
You got to get on that. You didn't even talk about it. You just said Final Fantasy 13. I thought you were going to talk about 5. Be like, I quit. Fuck it.
No,
I'm done.
No, because okay, well, you know what? Technically, I have not given up on it. Although this will be the first time I'm making this official and public that I have officially just broken the 4-job Fiesta rules, because I have just started making all 4 people in my party a samurai and just money chucking the shit out of everything. Because I just don't care. I don't care at this point. Like I'll finish the game, but man, it's just too much of a pain in the ass with the selection of jobs that I ended up getting. So
because if there's ever one benefit of Final Fantasy V that everyone says is the best part of the game, it's the plot.
Yeah,
and it's not.
Definitely.
It's not. It's not
for sure.
It's not.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, so it's almost like there aren't too many redeeming reasons for me to finish that fucking game, but I'm going to do it anyway.
You know what's almost as good as the samurai?
Ninjas?
Segue.
Ninjas.
Oh,
segue.
I gotta put in what the fuck are those, like a vuvuzela horns or whatever?
Wow,
gotta put
that's
those
a word
in
I haven't
post.
heard in like 10 years.
I know, right? Bringing it back.
In any case, this week's game is Ninja Gaiden. It's a game for the NES that you probably know about. And that's why you're here, is to listen to us talk about games you love. Or
and you probably got it as a kid and then was like, man, I sure wish I could actually play this game.
And you may have called it Ninja Gaiden.
You probably called it Ninja Gaiden because I
definitely did.
Yeah, we all did. But we're going to get into this game. Yes, you did. We're going to do this, and we're going to get into the brief history, which will be presented to you by the most eloquent Nintendhost LPTyger.
Anyone who was around in the late 80s or early 90s remembers just how big ninjas were at the time. Whether they were turtles or surfers, the kung fu craze was hard to ignore. Everyone, particularly children, wanted nothing more than to throw shurikens at the cat or whip nunchakus around grandma's favorite face. This inevitably meant there would be ninja-themed video games. A lot of them. One that would kickflip its way above the crowd was Tecmo's Ninja Gaiden, a game whose popularity would stem from more than just simply cashing in on a trend. Sometime in 1987, Tecmo would begin development on the game, with an official public announcement on January 15, 1988. Tecmo was largely focused on the North American release, largely due to the aforementioned ninja fad sweeping the country. Because of this, they did something completely outside of the norm and announced the title in Japan with its North American name. Tecmo would go on to assign 2 very different teams to the project, one for the arcade release and one for the Nintendo Entertainment System title. The arcade version would end up being a side-scrolling beat-em-up reminiscent of the Double Dragon franchise, though it failed to gain that series-level popularity or quality. It would eventually get home releases on the Commodore 64, the ZX Spectrum, the Amiga, and the Atari Lynx. But wait, you say, that's not the Ninja Gaiden I remember, and you'd be right. The one just about everyone recalls was the NES version, which was a vast departure from the arcade experience. Development was led by Hideo Yoshizawa, director of Mighty Bomb Jack, and a team that included Masato Kato, who would later pen the script for Chrono Trigger, Xenogears, and Final Fantasy VII, among others. The team started using Super Mario Bros. As its initial inspiration, while taking gameplay elements from Castlevania, namely the manner in which their protagonist would attack enemies. Instead of a whip, the main character, Ryu Hayabusa, would wield a deadly katana. Additionally, Ryu would have sub-weapons at his disposal that would function much like the sub-weapons found in Castlevania, right down to having limited usage and varying strengths and weaknesses. With these elements in place, the resulting game would turn out to be a fast-paced, tightly controlled platformer with precise, unforgiving combat. But what truly made Ninja Gaiden stand out in a sea of shadowy masked faces was its approach to storytelling. Instead of simply moving from one level to the next, cinematic cutscenes would be placed in between each stage, further developing the plot bit by bit as the player progressed forward. The artwork presented during these scenes was heavily inspired by manga of the time, particularly Lupin III and Golgo 13, fitting for a game with a more gritty and mature story. In total, Yoshizawa and his team would pack over 20 minutes of cinematic cutscenes into the game, a stunning achievement and something completely unheard of in the 8-bit era. On December 9th, 1988, Ninja Gaiden would be released in Japan as Ninja Ryu Kenden, or Legend of the Ninja Dragon Sword, and was received fairly well, with Famitsu giving it a 28 out of 40. Tecmo would put a heavy emphasis on localization, including putting a high priority on giving the plot a solid translation and changing the game's name. Initially, considerations were to call it simply Ninja Dragon, but Tecmo would ultimately go back to its working title of Ninja Gaiden. When asked why a game would get the title Gaiden, which means side story in Japanese, despite not being a spin-off of another title, Masato Kato responded that they came to the name because it just sounded cool. Sometime in March of 1989, Ninja Gaiden would debut in North America to much gamer enthusiasm and positive critical reception. EGM would award it Game of the Year status for 1989 with similar accolades from Nintendo Power. When the game made it to the PAL territories in August of 1991 as Shadow Warriors, a name change due to an anti-ninja sentiment in the regions at the time, it was a hit once again, with most publications pointing to the inspirational and highly detailed cinematics. With North American ninja fever in full effect, Tecmo soon discovered that demand exceeded supply, leading to Ninja Gaiden being one of the most successful NES games of all time. While nowhere near as popular, the PC Engine, Game Boy, Game Gear, and Master System would receive ports of their own, most with slightly altered gameplay and completely different plots. Later on, the game would be remade as part of a compilation with its 2 sequels on the Super Nintendo. The series continued into the modern era with the notable 2004 reboot for the original Xbox, infamous for capitalizing on the series' notorious difficulty, now presented in 3 dimensions. The most recent entry into the franchise was released in 2014 as Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z, though reception was notably less than favorable. And that is your brief history of Ninja Gaiden.
I just got to say, you offended all of our UK listeners because you called it the ZX Spectrum.
I wasn't going to point that out, but
it's the ZX Spectrum.
Oh, oops. Well, I will tell you, when I read that was the first time I even heard of it. So take
really?
That.
Well, see, there you go, England or UK or whatever the hell you want to call yourself this week. If you want people to say Z, you have to put it out there. People don't know what the ZX Spectrum is. They just don't. Okay. I think we even offended Canadians. I don't think Paul's going to come back on the show anymore.
Oh, y'all have. Oh. Wait.
Nah,
is UK Canadians?
It's fine. No,
North
Canadian.
America is just the U.S. That's all that matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
In any case, thank you for the brief history, and
you're welcome.
That was really good. So yeah, I mean, yeah, this definitely was a big deal when it came out in 1989. If you didn't play it, if you didn't play it, you know someone who did, and if you didn't own it, you know someone who did, and you played it there. And with us talking about that, I think it's time to get into our own personal experiences. I think we'll go with Tiger last because I have a feeling that he has the most fond memories or most experienced memories of the game.
Maybe.
So let's start off with Shane. Shane, tell us how you experienced Ninja Gaiden in 2015.
Listen, I will have you know that I owned this game like legitimately back in the day for my Nintendo Entertainment System. It was one of the few that I did play back when it was actually relevant. And hey, I don't know if you all are aware of this or not, but this game is hard as fucking balls. And I don't think I ever got past like the second level, like ever. So that's cool. but I do remember enjoying it. I mean, for what it was worth. Like I enjoyed the idea of this game, right? Like I always would load it up with some sort of like, I guess, idealistic notion that I was actually going to get past, level 2 at some point, which clearly never happened. But I always really appreciated it for what Tiger mentioned in the brief history, which was like the cutscenes and everything, because that was something that pretty much none of the other games that I was playing at the time did at all. So it was like this crazy thing of like, oh, this is almost like a movie. That's crazy. Of course, I never figured out what the rest of that movie was, because you'd actually have to be good at the game. But I sure do remember like those first 2 cutscenes real well. So yeah, that's kind of how I experienced it. Growing up, it was yet another Nintendo hard game that I owned and could never like make actual progress in.
So for me, I don't know when exactly. I don't think I ever owned this game, to be honest with you. I still don't own the game for what it's worth. I mean, I have it on my Nintendo Classic, and that's what I've been playing it on in preparation for this episode. But it was one of those games, like I said earlier, if you didn't own it, you probably knew a friend that owned it, and you probably played it there. So at this point, I don't know if I played Ninja Gaiden or Ninja Gaiden 2. I have no idea. I don't, because I listened to a lot of the remix music, and this is kind of how I kind of got reacquainted with like Ninja Gaiden. Is you go on YouTube and you find people who replay music, and one of the channels I watch, they replay a lot of Ninja Gaiden, or they did earlier, like the Unbreakable Determination, which was also called the Basic Minds, which is a really good song, and we'll get into the soundtrack about this later. But it's like, yeah, I remember that song, and yeah, I remember that intro, and yeah, I remember those cutscenes, but I don't remember any of the levels. So there's going to be another game that we're going to be covering later on. That's similar to what I'm about to say. Is this is a game that has almost become like ubiquitous with the Nintendo experience, where if you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, and you were playing Nintendo back then, or you had a Nintendo Entertainment System, or you had friends that did, and you were playing Nintendo games, this was a game that you probably came across for certain, and you played it. And that's my experience. I don't know where, I don't know when, I just know I played it, and I played quite a bit of it, because that intro sequence that you get, that intro cinematic where Ryu's father and an unidentified ninja are fighting against each other, that's so emblematic of that game, and that's something that's stuck in my mind, and I can see it, I can remember it, and I can say I've played it, but I don't know where or when, and I'm not sure if that's something that a lot of gamers can say. Maybe they can, but that's just what stuck with me, despite never owning the game. And I will say, like, actually sit down and playing through it, it was this week that's the first time I can really say, yeah, this is the first time I remember actually sitting down and playing the game.
Well, how the turntables. Now you're the one that is playing the game now. This is unprecedented territory.
I did say I have played it before, though.
Nope, I'm taking this as a personal win.
I'll let you take it, Shane. I'll let you do it. Yes,
I like the fact that you said how the turntables.
How the turntables.
Yes. That was an Office reference for the record, but
okay. Well,
on to you, Tiger.
Yeah. So I totally was that guy when I said ninjas, or the craze in North America. I was totally in. I was into Ninja Turtles. Michelangelo is my favorite. And anything that had to do with ninjas, I was there. I wanted to watch Surf Ninjas. Yeah, that was me. I wanted to. I wanted to take karate class.
Wait, there was something called Surf Ninjas?
Oh yeah, that's a movie.
Yeah, dude.
And I assumed that's what was being mentioned when it said surfers.
It was, but I made that edit to the history. That wasn't Chris.
I said kicking back.
Schneider, so. There you go. 3 ninjas. Yeah. So all that. Yeah. I was into all that stuff. So like Ninja Gaiden, I never actually owned the game. I probably did later on in life, but when I was a child, I never owned it. But it was, a discovered game when I went to my friend's house, as you have said, and absolutely immediately fell in love with the music of the game. And just when I saw that you could cling to the wall, like I was like, oh my God, like Mario, you jump, you know, and Zelda, you move around and you jump, but Ninja Gaiden, you cling to the wall, and you can not only cling once, but you can cling multiple times and go up the walls. And no, that was great. It's like, if I could compare it to anything, it's like climbing with Zelda on Breath of the Wild. You're like, oh my God, it's a new thing you can do. That was a new thing you could do in Ninja Gaiden. You can climb the walls. You can't go up them. Well, I guess you can go up ladders, but like clinging to the walls was like my favorite thing about Ninja Gaiden.
I disagree.
Yeah, well, we can get to the debate of how bad the mechanic was, but just in stage 1-1, when you realize that you can bounce back and forth on the walls to climb up, that was like my favorite thing to do. Also, just running with the protagonist, it just felt good, and not to mention it flowed well with the music, which all of it just blended so well for me. Like I was totally into this game.
Okay. So, let's talk. This is where we're going to get into the gameplay.
Yeah.
And you're talking probably about stage 1.
Yeah. And this is all like, I'm still at the like discovering the game. Like when I played at my friend's house, I'm still there. I'm on stage 1-1, and like this is my favorite game. Like
the like, one stage that everybody's familiar with.
Yeah. Yeah. Like just and I'm going a little too deep, but like
let's go deep. Let's do it.
Yeah, I played this game as a child with my friend, and we would just like sit there all day and try to get through the game. And yet we're going to talk about how difficult this game was and how bullshit like the respawns is, because you go forward, you get hit, and then you go backward, and there's that enemy that came by, and there's just birds and tigers and bullshit everywhere. Like that. Well, I can't remember what stage it is, but like it's 5-3, I think, where it's just the game gets to a point where it's like, okay, this is too easy. We need to make sure that when you jump over this pit, there's a bat that flies out. So you hit the bat and you die. And okay, now let's make it so that a tiger jumps out when he jumps over the cliff. Let's make it so that a machine gun army dude shoots bullets at you as you jump over. It's like, it gets to be bullshit. But like, that was memories from my childhood when like I was just spending probably hours trying to get past, a portion of a level.
So yeah, going to the mechanics of this game, enemy placement, level design, it's you could call it ingenious if you're a masochist.
Would you really?
Like, if you really want to make a game hard and make it inappropriately hard, this game is a masterclass in how to do that. I think like
let's
if that's fair. Your intention,
that to be fair, that was an art in a sense. Like there are games on the NES.
Asshole game design. Yeah.
There are games on the NES were just like difficult because they just threw a lot of shit at you, like the Karate Kid, or like I can't think of games on top of my head, but like they'll just throw shit at you just because they can. But this game placed them in specific parts so that, and not to mention, like it's totally possible to go through the game with just a sword. As if you can go on YouTube and look that up.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But to find that out as a kid, that probably wouldn't happen. And it didn't happen.
Well, it's the two elements about it that I found that conflict, and I think they intentionally conflict to make you angry. Is that you go into the brief history where you're talking about it's a combination of Super Mario Brothers and Castlevania. So from Castlevania, you get the very kind of terrible controls, or stiff controls. It's worse in Ninja Gaiden. The controls, I think, are terrible in Ninja Gaiden. But you get very
whoa. No. We're gonna stop right there for a second.
Yeah.
Listen, I am not one to defend this game on a lot of points because I think that it is bullshit hard. But like,
yes,
I will absolutely say that the controls in Castlevania are hot flaming garbage. And this game at least controls a little bit smoother than that. Belmont moves like a fucking stiff through that entire game. You can't change direction when you jump, and you also get the knockback when you get hit, which you also have in this, which we'll talk about in a second. But at least, listen, at least you get your Naruto run in this game, right? You can do the ninja go fast
to your detriment, maybe. And this is what I'm going to go into. See, Castlevania was deliberate. It was deliberate in its stiffness. It was deliberate in its control and how slow it was in its jump. It was deliberate. That was a gameplay design. In this game, sometimes it gets to the point where you want to jump and do a jump across something, but because you didn't hit the direction you wanted to face fast enough, you're just going to jump straight up in the air and come down barely to the left of where you jump from, or to the right of where you jump from.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's because there is a slight delay in every single button press about what your character does in this game. From the katana to the jump to the direction change, there is an ever slight delay that if you're not used to it, you're going to get fucked up. And you're going to do the thing you don't want to do, or not hit the enemy that's going to cause that knockback. And so,
I will say that there were a number of times where I tried to jump over a chasm and apparently hit the button like a fraction of a second too late and just ran directly off a cliff. So
yes. But that goes back to the Mario Castlevania thing. Go ahead.
That's probably that's the only thing I don't like. Everything else is perfect.
What? Really?
As far as controlling the character, as far as controlling the character, I'm a fan of snappy controls. You move right, you go right, you go left. You push left, you go left. You jump. Like everything's there. It there's nothing that's sluggish about it. It's snappy. Like it doesn't, like, you don't jump too high, you don't jump too low. The jump height seems fine. Like the only thing that I could probably say that sucks is, like you said, the what do you call it when you get hit? The knockback. Yeah. I mean, but that was a given thing. So it's like part of the mechanic of the game, which it is bullshit. But
dude, that knockback sound effect every time you get hit like haunts my nightmares.
When it happens numerous amounts of times in a row, that can be ultimately frustrating. It's like playing ping pong with birds on the screen.
Especially when you're trying to make a jump and all of a sudden here's a bat right in your arc, and they know it's in your arc.
Of course.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I was gonna say, we're not friendly with like your invincibility time. Like, what invincibility time?
There is no invincibility time.
No.
What invincibility time?
You're like, okay, I'm just going to hit this bird. Nope, it doesn't let you hit the bird. You just keep getting pushed.
It's not invincibility time. It's get fucked time.
Well, but this also kind of goes into more of a discussion about the design, like the level design and stuff like that, where there are several levels. I won't say all of them necessarily, but there are several levels in this game where it is infinitely easier to complete the level if you have acquired the correct sub-weapon. And you don't know that unless you have a whole bunch of trial and error. Like, actually, I think it's 2 something, 2-3, 2-2 or 2-3, where you grab the spin attack sub-weapon, or you can grab it. It's called the jump and slash technique, I think. But
the screw attack.
Yeah, basically. But you are able to grab that like early on in the level, and if you get that, then the rest of the level is like cake, because you just automatically do this like sword whirlwind every time you jump, and it makes it so much easier. If you didn't grab that, or you accidentally replace it with another sub-weapon, which is very possible, suddenly that level becomes not impossible, but vastly more difficult because from what I can tell, the enemy placement was done in such a way that they're expecting you to have that exact sub-weapon to get through it.
I would disagree with that the game expects you to have that sub-weapon, because
I don't know,
I
it
constantly
feels like it.
Fucked it away. The thing I liked the spin attack, the spin and slash, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
It is the jump and slash technique, Chris.
Okay, great. I liked the Samus ripoff attack, and and I liked it, but the problem with it is that every single time you want to do a jump attack, you lose your sub weapon points.
That's true. Listen,
so it can go away really fast.
Well, it can, but that's also part. Okay, that's also part of the argument that I'm actually kind of making, though, right? Is like for that one specific level I'm talking about, it's very clear based on the level design that they want you to use that sub weapon to get through that particular piece of the level, and you can continue using that technique by hitting the correct breakables to regain your sub weapon points. But unless you've played through that level a number of times and know exactly what the placement of all of those are, if you just hit every breakable, you will eventually accidentally replace that sub weapon with like a throwing star or something, and then the rest of the level is like that much more difficult because there are some jumps in that level that there is an enemy that is on a platform that is only wide enough for one of you to stand on. And if you don't have that jump and slash technique where you'll just kill him as soon as you land on him, then you're a little bit fucked. Like, it's still doable, but it's hard.
It's definitely placed in my opinion. I agree with Shane. It's definitely placed with intention.
Right,
because you do get that jump and slash right before you get on that one column with that one enemy, walking back.
You know what I'm talking about.
You do get the little flame thrower that goes up at a diagonal as you're about to go.
And that's my least favorite one, by the way.
Yeah, me too. You get the large shuriken when you're about to make a large jump, and this sword guy is gonna walk toward the ledge as you start to get the jump. So you can just throw the shuriken at him instead of trying to jump on the little piece of ledge before he kills you and knocks you off. So I do think it's put there with some strategy on the developer's end.
But one of the things I've discovered,
I just don't know if I don't know if I would argue that that's good design. That's what I'm getting at.
No, it's not good. It's questionable, and this is again, I'm going to go back. I'm trying to make this point about how it got design and inspiration from Mario, is that when you're going through the levels, sometimes it's more beneficial to just run, run, land, attack, and keep moving, and don't stop and be deliberate. But there's also sections like when you jump, if you just keep running it's because there's a lot of memorization. This game relies heavily on memorization. So it switches over to Castlevania. So this is very apparent in stage 5, where you're going and there's a ledge, and then you have a bat that comes in, and then if you move to the right, you have a charge and Chuck who jumps on you while you have a machine gunner on a platform you have to jump to. I guess that's the best way I can explain that. So the best way to do it is to sit there and be deliberate. And then once you're done with all that, you get to a ledge and everything seems fine. And then you jump. And as soon as you jump, there's a bat in your way to land on another ledge. So you have to wait for the bat to attack it. So there's the element of you have to be deliberate with the way you do things. If you memorize the level, I got to wait here, I got to attack this there, it's going to make it easier for me. But when the charge and Chuck, I don't know it's a football player that jumps on you. I don't know what the fuck you want to call him. I'm going to just, again, charge and Chuck. He comes in, you run, and you have to jump and attack the guy with the machine gun or bazooka and hit him. And then there's another, you have to keep moving and do the same thing to the next platform. And the other reason you have to keep moving is that the timer is not generous. It does not give a fuck about you. It does not want you to take your time. So you have to keep moving. Yeah, it's awful. Well, yeah, if you keep dying, every single time you die, the timer resets. So that's probably why you forgot about the timer.
That's it. I kept dying.
That's why. If you take your time.
Bring that up.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you bring that up and it made me think about enemy respawn, but there are certain parts of the game where I actually feel like it's not a respawn anymore. It's just like, no, that enemy wasn't there when I went by first, but then when I go backward, now that enemy appears in that spot. I kind of wonder if they did that on purpose, or maybe they have some sort of programming which had some unintended effects.
Dude, I don't know. All I know is that the respawning is so infuriating in this game. Like there's like one spot early on in like the second like area that I remember distinctly. It's actually right at the beginning of the level where I think it's the first time you see those like weird priest looking guys chucking crosses or whatever.
Yeah. Why do you think they look like priests? I think they look like zombies.
Sure, man.
I feel like they're old ladies with crosses.
Okay. I mean, you know what? Nice. It's up for interpretation. Who knows? Point
MAGA women.
Is that the first time you come across
MAGA Karens.
It's like walking back and forth on a ledge that you have to get to, and you have to time your jump based on their random cross-chucking. And then if you get hit, you get knocked back far enough that they despawn, which means even if you manage to hit it and kill it, if you still got knocked back, it shows right the fuck back up again. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So frustrating.
I think that happens again in stage 5 or 6. And the good thing about that is that they go off the screen and they don't respawn, which is one of the only times. But the worst offender of respawning are the fucking birds.
Dude, fuck birds. Just all of them.
Yeah, birds suck.
What the fuck is with these birds? They I mean, once you get their pattern, it's not that bad. The problem is that their pattern isn't universal throughout the game. Sometimes they come from above, sometimes they come from below, sometimes they come from the side of the screen. All you really have to do is avoid them once and then do a down slash when they come towards you, and you kind of they're dealt with. But it's figuring out a way to avoid them in the first place. And then sometimes you kill them and they just respawn. Like, they can show up on the same screen, you kill them, and fuck that. And that's why the respawning is bullshit. Because you can kill something on the screen and they'll still show up and you haven't moved. And they show right the fuck back up in the same fucking place.
Yeah.
I don't think we forgot about you, bats. You're on our radar too.
The birds are worse because the bats kind of move straight. I can deal with the bats. They're fine. Especially if I got the shuriken or the boomerang shuriken, that they're okay. The birds? No. Fuck the birds.
We're taking a very strong anti-avian stance on this episode, is what we're saying.
I think this is ultimately a venting session.
I think it is.
Yes.
This is just decades of like pent-up frustration from Ninja Gaiden. That's what that is.
This is like everything bad about Nintendo Hard. Even like Castlevania 3 is how you do Nintendo Hard right. It's hard. It might not be fair, but the enemies just don't respawn right after you kill them and say, ha 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 ha, here's 5 enemies jumping on you at once, deal with it. Oh, if you kill one's just going to show right back up anyway because you're in the wrong spot on the screen. Not only that, okay, let's talk about this final boss, right? There's 3 of them.
I don't know what the final boss is, Chris. I've never been there. I don't even know what it looks like. I mean, that's not true. I've watched YouTube videos, but like I didn't know what it looked like for a very long time.
These assholes, okay, but these assholes at Tecmo knew
fuckers
knew that there was a glitch. Yeah. So the 6th stage, by the way, you can die at any place in the 6th stage. And there's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 parts to the 6th stage. And you'll get sent back to that part. So there's like 6-1, 6-2, 6-3. If you die in 6-2, you get sent back to the beginning 6-2, 6-3, same thing. Guess what? If you die at the final boss, which there are 3 of them, you'll get sent back to 6-1. And it was a glitch. And Tecmo knew about the glitch. And they could have fixed it. You know what they said? No. Fuck you. They knew. They knew their game was hard. They knew their game was bullshit. And they're like, your game is hard and bullshit. What are you going to do about it? They're like, deal with it. And they're just like, that was Nintendo hard. That's what they thought was okay.
I want to know, did they actually say that it was a glitch?
Yes, it's a glitch.
Okay. I never knew. I thought it was intentional. I was like, well, if they want people to continue playing their game, you know, we don't have DLC or any of that crap. You just have to figure out how to beat the boss. And if If you get all the way there and you try to beat the boss and you don't, well,
if you know,
you say fuck this game, you're going to play the game all over again.
If you know about
I'm
the
sure
glitch,
that's probably part of what the thought process was, though, when they realized that it was that was what was going on.
Yeah.
They were just like, it adds replayability.
Yeah,
if you know about the glitch before you release it and you don't do anything about it, it is intentional. It's an intentional glitch.
The game told you have to become the dragon ninja.
Yeah, man.
So
what do you think that?
No matter what, no matter how many birds or football players
charging
or last bosses you have to fight.
Yeah. Or like monster people. Do you want to bring up the enemies?
Little bouncy things?
Let's talk about the enemy design.
I was about to say that. I mean, since we're kind of talking about it anyway, like, can anybody explain to me what the design decisions were that went into the enemies in this game? Because, like, listen, most games have like a theme, right? Like, Ninja? Okay, it's Contra. So like they're a bunch of like jungle soldier guys and then eventually aliens because that's the story. But what is going on in this game? I've never understood this. Even when I was a kid, I was just like, oh, all right, well, let's see. The first level, we're apparently on the streets of like New York because I had to come to America because my dad said so. So there's a bunch of, I guess, stray dogs. All right, I guess that tracks. All right, fine.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I was down,
all right, dudes in motorcycle helmets and baseball bats. Seems kind of the Warriors, but I guess okay, fine.
That's New York. They do that.
Random dudes with boxing gloves just wandering around. All right,
Mike Tyson.
Hey, Rocky was popular back then. Rocky was popular.
Yeah.
And then the further you go into the game, then they just start mixing and matching. So then you still have those things, but like we said, then you have like, I don't know, random birds or like mountain lions or the maybe vaguely Indian men with swords and then military dudes. And then the things that we think might be priests or possibly old ladies just throwing crosses around. I don't.
MAGA Karens.
What even is character design really? Like, I'm so confused by this.
It's like you have the guys who essentially have no neck. They're like super deformed with the monster faces that throw sticks at you. That's weird. You have Freddy. Not Freddy. You have Jason. Jason's throwing axes at you. Jason's there to throw axes. You have the Silver Surfer throwing a giant axe at you.
Oh, then you eventually get ninjas with jetpacks.
Yeah, you get jetpack ninjas. You get the Rocketeer ninjas. Which at least
is like on brand, right? So I guess there's that at least.
Yeah. And then you have the Fleamen. Like that's directly ripped from Castlevania. There's like no denying they. Sure. Oh my god, and they suck. They're awful. They're the worst.
You know the most fitting one is the karate dude that does the spin kick.
Yeah.
Well, they also have a ninja. Yeah. There's a green ninja that shows up and he jumps over you and
Oh yeah, the green ninjas. Yeah, them too.
They have a karate dude, which is appropriate. They're annoying, but that's fine. How about the turrets that fire missiles like bullets at you? Why are there turrets?
Well, I say those are clearly just the skull towers from Castlevania.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the final boss, because again, there's 3 of them. The final boss,
his final form,
is from Contra or Alien or however you want to say it is.
Yeah, I see some similarity there.
It's a fucking xenomorph. It's not a xenomorph, but it is definitely H.R. Geiger inspired. And anyone who tells me it's not, you're full of shit because that is a fucking alien.
No, I mean, yeah, you and I have had that discussion before when we were talking about, design choices for enemies and stuff, even all the way up through the Super Nintendo era. Like, I don't know why, and I'm okay with it because I thought it was cool as hell.
It's fine.
But for some reason, and I think it was maybe just the popularity of Alien, I guess, but like, there was some serious like Giger inspired alien ass looking stuff in a lot of video games in like those like 2 decades.
So like this is like the ultimate. I know we said in the brief history it wouldn't be on the cash grab. This is the cash grab because they had the ninja, and then they're like, yeah, you know what's popular now? Ninjas. You know what's also popular now? Friday the 13th. Let's throw in some monsters and shit. That'll be cool. You know what's also popular? Rocky. So we can throw in a boxer. And the karate's always cool. And you know what? Marvel Comics is kind of cool. Like the X-Men thing is kind of going on right now. Let's have the Silver Surfer throw axes at people, and that would be fine. And you know what else? What you can do? Aliens. Aliens is popular. So the final reveal, what we're going to do is we are going to have an alien be the final boss. And we got everything, man. We have everything. And like you die a lot. And this is going to be great. They're going to have to buy it because they rent it. They're not going to be able to beat it. And this is going to be fantastic. Love it.
It's the real Dark Souls.
It has, yes.
I mean, TV and inspiration was limited, bro. Like,
it's all from the movies.
Give them a break, man. What else are they?
Tiger's just the only voice of reason.
They have internet or anything.
Otherwise, complete vent session. No, I mean, so speaking of like the enemy design and stuff, the one thing that I will say was definitely, I will say is still cool as hell is I appreciated the bosses, even though like I didn't really see most of them as a child, but officially referred to, if you owned this game and you had the instruction booklet, then you would know that they were officially referred to as the Malice 4, which is appropriately threatening. There were some pretty cool ones, and I think you can get away with more of that, like maybe this isn't necessarily directly related to our theme thing with bosses. Like you get a little bit more flexibility with that, I guess. But I did appreciate the design of those. And then, of course, there's the weird thing with the Act 4 boss, Kelberos, which is, I guess, the demon incarnation of the final boss's pet dog. So he's got that going for him.
One of the easiest bosses, by the way. Well,
no, I disagree. I didn't like
if
it.
you could get to it.
I didn't like it. No, he's not the easiest boss.
Like you can literally you sit in the bottom corner and they never touch you.
That's not true.
And the smoke never touches you.
That is not
I've never
true.
had them touch me.
But that's
okay.
that's part of
it's a low probability.
Yes, you're right. That is the strategy, is to stay in the bottom corner, but you got to keep moving. It's not like you can just stay still. Like maybe maybe you're luckier than I am. I wasn't able to do that because I tried. Because I noticed that pretty quickly. Okay, so the most bullshit boss
on the flip side of things. Oh, okay, we're still doing that. All right, go for it.
Well, I'm just gonna say the most bullshit boss is the stage 5 boss, which requires you to just pretty much bum rush him and just keep attacking him, because in order to kill him, what he does is he summons like a lightning bolt, and no matter what you do, you cannot avoid it. Maybe some people can avoid it, but I can't avoid it. So
I will say I had to look at a YouTube video in order to see how to avoid it, and there's one way to avoid it,
which means it's
to jump on this platform and then jump over the ball that it shoots at you. I was like, oh,
I couldn't do that. I could not even do that. Even when I tried doing that, I got hit.
It's a time thing.
Yeah, it's all about timing, which is really what comes down.
Yeah, the whole game's about timing.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, so, okay. On the flip side of stuff, like I said this earlier when I was talking about my personal experiences, but listen, I think it's clear I have a lot of issues with how this game was put together and presented. But for what it's worth, the reason that I had always, I kept coming back to it, despite the fact that I knew I was probably not going to make much real progress, frankly, and Tiger brought this up, is the music. I mean, outside of the cinematic presentation, which is also just amazing, but the music in this game is really good. And my favorite is stage 2-2, which also gets reused later in the game in like World 4. And that happens a lot. Actually, they reused a number of tracks, but probably because they needed all that extra space on the cart for those bomb ass cinematics. But the stage 2-2 track for me is definitely my favorite. It's got like a really awesome bass line throughout it that just like kind of gets you pumping. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Is that the snow level, or is that the?
Nah, man, I never got to the snow level. What are you talking about?
Is that the one where you come out of the house? I don't remember.
So no, 2-2 is like right when so obviously you beat the first boss, and then stage 2-1 is like you're going through that indoor area.
Oh.
And then as soon as you come outside.
Old lady.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that track is awesome.
I gotcha.
My favorite track is probably the stage 5 track, which I really like it. It's been redone. It's a really fast paced song, but the entire soundtrack as a whole is really, really good. And it's weird that the composer for the soundtrack was Keiji Yamagishi, and there's someone else, but the primary person was Keiji Yamagishi. And this is really the only major soundtrack that that they really did. They did the Tecmo Bowls, all the Tecmo Bowl games soundtracks.
Oh yeah, but definitely closely related. You can tell.
Completely. But I mean, it's all Tecmo.
Same sounds.
I was going to say
Football
Tecmo
Ninjas,
Bowl, known for its soundtrack.
Well, that's why he had Charge and Chuck that would jump on you out of nowhere. It's just,
there's
play
the
Tecmo Bowl. You gotta get in. But he hasn't really done much outside this game, which is shocking because Ninja Gaiden soundtrack is solid, very solid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, special shout out to the boss theme.
I can sing all of them.
And while we're at it, the cinematics in this game. Now, you go back and you play this now, you're going to see the cinematics and you're probably not going to think much of it because, it's been 31 years at the time of this recording. But what you saw during that time was really revolutionary for a Nintendo cart in 1989. And there's not a game I can really think of that did that. Now, I think Go-Go 13 did it as well. But I don't think anyone played Go-Go 13. Now, it's...
I remember that cover.
I don't know which came out first. This is a 1989 release. I don't know if Go-Go 13 or Ninja Gaiden did it first. Ninja Gaiden did it very well. And they did it a way to tell a story and become a cinematic experience. And that actually makes sense when you think about Masato Kato being on the team and him really bringing in the idea with Hironobu Sakaguchi with Final Fantasy VII in the cinematic RPG and using cinematics to tell a story. And that's what you get in the Ninja Gaiden series that you really didn't get from a lot of other games. And I can't really think of another NES game outside of Go-Go 13. And again, that doesn't do it nearly as well as Ninja Gaiden, a series that does it that well. And even leading up into probably the 32-bit era. Now, I'm probably missing a lot, of course. And I'm excluding CD games. I'm just talking about cartridge games that really focused on having that cinematic experience and getting the gamer immersed. And Ninja Gaiden was far ahead of its time back in 1989 and how they did it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so before we go and bring this thing into a close, I think there's a couple other quick items we probably want to touch on, which is, and this is something that honestly I was not really aware of up until we were doing the research for this episode anyway, is that there were several different versions of this game that were released for different consoles, home consoles and the arcade. I always just assumed that if it had been released in multi-platform that it was just kind of like a port of the same thing, but they were actually all pretty distinct in their own ways.
Yeah. Don't play them.
Okay, so I will say I tried out almost all of them just to see what they were like. And the Master System one is interesting in that I think it has a better color palette. I think it looks better. That was one of the things that always kind of bugged me about NES Ninja Gaiden is that the colors always seemed like weirdly washed out.
Yeah, I would agree.
But the Master System one looks good, but is still pretty much the same kind of like cheap shot bullshit that you get in the NES one, just in different and fun and varying ways, like ninjas jumping from off screen and throwing a throwing star directly in your path, or stuff like that, or bombs in trees or hiding in grass. I will say that the mechanic is slightly different, where you don't grip onto walls, but you can jump and then grab onto like tree branches and ledges, and then like kind of pull yourself up. So that's interesting to note, I guess, but not anything that's like to write home about. Out of all the different versions, and I told Chris this prior to the episode that I tried, I actually enjoyed my time with the Game Boy one the most, which I thought was unusual, because usually the Game Boy titles are not necessarily better than their kind of big boy console counterparts. But for what it's worth, the Game Boy version of Ninja Gaiden, which again is like a different story and stuff altogether, the gameplay is actually like tolerable. Like I got up to level 4 of that game without really too much trouble. And then it starts to ramp up a bit, but I felt like it was more fair. So I actually enjoyed my time with that one more than any of the others.
I actually have a few facts about that game.
Go on.
That game is actually made by Natsume, who made Shadow of the Ninja, which is a similar game on the NES. Which was 2 players, but the Ninja Gaiden on the Game Boy, it's called Ninja Gaiden Shadow, was actually supposed to be a port, well, not a port, but like a different version of Shadow of the Ninja for the NES, or for the NES, for the Game Boy. So I don't know how the licensing worked or whatnot, but it's pretty much what they were, Shadow of the Ninja on the Game Boy.
Interesting. Well, that might actually explain the gameplay differences then, because like it still feels real good to play, like in the same way that NES Ninja Gaiden does as far as like the controls are concerned. But like I said, I feel like the overall level design and like enemy placement and stuff felt a lot more fair. Like it was still challenging, but wasn't like infuriating.
I think that lends itself.
I was going to say, like,
go ahead.
Shadow of the Ninja really isn't as bullshit as Ninja Gaiden either. So,
all right, so that was the Ninja Gaiden that we all deserved then. Okay, gotcha.
The only other version I've played at all is the PC Engine version, mostly because it comes with the TurboGrafx Mini, the PC Engine Mini, whatever have you. Not as good at all. It looks pretty. It looks nice, but there's definitely a slowness and clunkiness to it that the NES version does a lot better, even though I have my issues with the NES controls to begin with. I don't think they're perfect, but they're far better than the other versions, that from what I can tell.
And so did either of you ever play the arcade version of Ninja Gaiden?
No.
I want to say that I have, but like I really like, this is not the NES version. So why I can't move the same. Like it just didn't feel the same. Like, so I was just like, that's garbage.
Yeah. So obviously I didn't play it back when it was actually in an arcade, but I did go back and try out at least one version of it. So there was a version that never actually ended up getting released. But there is a ROM of it floating around out there if you ever wanted to try it out, which was I believe, not the Master System, but so there was a Sega Mega Drive version, so Sega Genesis, that was in production kind of alongside the the Master System and Game Gear ones, and then it never actually came to fruition. And actually, apparently, nobody is 100% sure as to why that is, but I did,
because Sega was selling like trash in Japan. That's probably it.
It's probably a good reason. But the ROM is unfinished, so I actually could only get through like 1.5 levels of it. But I will say that it is definitely just a side-scrolling beat 'em up a la Double Dragon. But the difficulty is nowhere near as punishing as the platforming versions of Ninja Gaiden that we ultimately got. And I did watch some playthroughs of some of the actual legit arcade versions of the game. And I mean, for what it's worth, it looks like a pretty decent, sort of competent side scroller beat 'em up. If you look at a side-by-side comparison of the different ports of it, though, man, it is really apparent that some of those platforms could not handle some certain, level of detail and things like that, because I think arguably the Amiga port of the arcade version was probably the closest to arcade, like I won't say arcade perfect, but closest to kind of replicating that, because some of the other ones, man, like the Commodore 64 is oh boy, that it doesn't look
leave
good.
It up to the leave it up to the motherfucking Amiga.
But that was actually, like I said, it was just surprising to me that that's actually where the game has its roots in, technically, is that arcade version, I guess, which was vastly different from what most of us experienced at home.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the systems it was ported to, no one really gave two flying fucks about in North America, so we probably probably
what
wouldn't
is
know.
The Lynx, really?
That's a bad example. You should have said, what is the ZX Spectrum?
Ah, yes. The good old Zed.
Zed.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Zed.
We got to make everybody happy. It's the ZX Spectrum.
Or everybody equally angry about it. One of the two.
I'm all, hey, I don't care.
So I guess the last thing that I just wanted to point out, because I always thought it was kind of fascinating, and I think this just in general anyway, is the speedrunning community. That's something that I will never be able to do, because I'm not at that level for any of this stuff. But the community around this game is particularly interesting. I've watched a number of videos about like the world record attempts and stuff at this game, and currently, as far as I'm aware, a player by the name of Arcus87 is the current record holder with a time of 11 minutes and 38 seconds and some change. I would highly recommend anybody that played Ninja Gaiden as a kid to go and look up his video on YouTube of that particular playthrough that he did on Twitch, because man, it is impressive. And of course, if you look at some of the other videos of the history behind all of his speed runs, you know, he did thousands upon thousands of runs to get to that point. But man, and it also drives home the fact that this game is very much about memorization and trial and error, because as soon as he gets all that down, it's just a matter of just executing those steps one by one. And it's pretty amazing to watch. So I would highly recommend checking that out if you have like 12 minutes to spare.
I think about wraps it up. I did want to talk about the wall clinging, which I'll just briefly sum it up in that the wall clinging sucks because you get knocked onto the wall and the wall sucks. And that's gameplay. That's a long time ago. And it wouldn't get probably perfected until Batman, which is on the NES and is a better jumping game. And I think
that was fun to do too.
And I think it was better in Batman. I think Batman came out before Ninja Gaiden. So fuck you, Ninja Gaiden. In any case, we need to talk about whether or not this game holds up today. So since I'm talking now, I don't think it would flow well for me to talk about it. So, Tiger, tell us your opinions. Do you believe that Ninja Gaiden holds up today?
Oh boy. I think if you take away the bullshit respawn and the knockbacks, it's absolutely playable today. And so basically what I'm saying is it's playable up to like level 3, 3-1 or something.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. You'll get into the music. You'll get into the, like, I even like the sound effect, just killing a person with one hit. And most enemies you can kill with one slash of the sword. And it's always felt good to me. Like to this day, it feels good to just hit someone with the sword and they go pop. And yes, I think that this game, for the most part, holds up. And you won't stop playing, after, 2 minutes, like I would for most NES games. So yeah, that's a thumbs up for me.
Okay. I will go next, and I think my answer is going to be, actually, through all my venting, I think I'm going to somewhat agree with Tiger, but for different reasons. Does this game hold up today? If you don't like Nintendo hard, if you don't like to challenge yourself, if you don't like that kind of expectation, then no, it doesn't. There's a lot of things that are definitely wrong with this game. The gameplay is not as smooth or deliberate as a Castlevania. Like the platforming elements are much more tedious than they are in Super Mario Brothers. However, if you're willing to put the time into it, if you're willing to memorize it, there's something there for you. It's not timeless, in my opinion, if you go back and play it like a Punch-Out, where memorization again is key, and you always have to, you don't have to build yourself up because you have a password. You don't have that in Ninja Gaiden. You constantly have to memorize each level at the time. So if you go into that with that expectation, and that's the kind of game you want to play, something that's punishing, something that's brutal, something that requires memorization of every little bit and screen and moment, then go ahead and do it. If you don't want that, hard pass. But I think in its own respects, it can hold up for a certain audience.
Adding on to that, I call this like a Mega Man effect, where they're casual players. When they play Mega Man, like in one level, they'll just say, fuck this. I can't beat this. Like that's Ninja Gaiden kind of has that. So
yeah, but Mega Man's much better.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. But I will say that if you don't have a drive to play like this type of platforming game and doing things properly and correctly with timing, then it's definitely not for you. But I still think it holds up.
I just got to say something really quick for a final recommendation. This is the game, from me anyway. This is the game that if you feel like life is going too well and you're too happy with how things are going, play this game. Then it holds up.
Or Mega Man.
No.
Keeps you
no,
grounded.
Mega Man's fine. Mega Man's fine.
Specifically okay.
Mega Man's fine. This game, no. Shane, how about you?
Yeah. Well, I guess Tiger's comments about the Mega Man effect is probably a good segue because hi, that's me. I am that player where I was just like, wow, this seems hard. Well, fuck this game, and then back to it. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough because, like I said, there are things that I do like about this game, and I think if you want to at least experience it, just to say that you have, and to see kind of where a lot of the tropes came from, then it's worth at least checking out. Like the cinematic stuff is still cool even now. I think if you at least look at it as like a let's remember that this occurred in like 1989, then it's definitely still a really cool thing to watch. The music is still great. It still holds up today. And you know what? If for nothing else, you can play it for like 15 minutes and get through maybe 2 levels and then be like, you know what? I'm going to do something else with my time. And that's okay. Because, if you're not going to dedicate that amount of time, like, Chris was saying, or Tiger, actually, both of you were saying, to really buckling down and memorizing how this game works, which is really what it kind of demands of you if you want to get through the whole thing, which at the end of the day is not a long game, and a lot of Nintendo games weren't, which is why they were so supremely difficult. Then you know what? That's all right. So does it hold up? I don't know. Like, I guess like it's something to at least check out. But outside of that, I don't think it's something I would recommend that you like sit down on your day off to relax with. That's for damn sure.
No. Ninja Gaiden is a shmup for platformer fans.
Wow, that's a really good way to put it. I love shmups.
Mm-hmm. There you go. All right. Well, I think with all of that being said, then I think we're about done. So Tiger, once again, thank you for joining us on the show. It's always a pleasure having you on to chat Nintendo and such.
Absolutely. And if we ever want to talk about, bullshit Nintendo games that are unfair,
yeah,
I'm the man.
Well, I can guarantee that this will not be the last time that happens. So we can look forward to that. But I guess I'll do our quick little spiel as we are wont to do, because I got to reclaim that one today. Hey, it finally happened. It only took like 4 or 5 episodes.
I intentionally let you get it.
Just let me have this, Chris. Just let me have it.
I mean, good job, Shane.
Yeah. Thank you. Great. I'm really, really proud of myself. But so if you're listening to this, then you've already found us. So, hey, hi, congratulations. We're glad you're here. But there are a couple other places you can find us on the internet if you want to follow along with the posts that we make and things like that. We are on all the social medias, so Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff. So you can just look for Retro Hangover and find us there. We do, of course, have our Patreon that is always running. And if you like us enough for some crazy reason to donate to that, then you can head on over to bit.ly/RHPatron and choose a donation tier of your choice. And regardless of what you pick, it will at least get you access to our patron Discord, so you can jump in and chat with the other patrons as well as us, of course. And if you decide to go to a higher tier, there are other cool things that you can get, such as our bonus audio content feed called RHP Turbo, which includes our rapid fire reviews that we alluded to earlier in the episode, as well as outtakes from these episodes and other fun stuff like that. So please feel free to take a look at that if you are so inclined. And we do have a merch store with some pretty cool Retro Hangover stuff in there. That's at bit.ly/RHP merch. You can get yourself a Gorp the Eggplant Dragon t-shirt, which is our official mascot. Thanks to our loyal follower Vertikai for kind of making that one come into being. We are very grateful for that. And some other neat stuff as well. So Chris, why don't you talk a little bit about our stream Sundays?
Yes, absolutely. So every Sunday on Twitch, we try to do a stream unless my computer decides it wants to melt down, which isn't an uncommon experience which happened not too long ago, which is sad. I think I recovered it. If you want to join us on our Sunday streams, we do it at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I was about to say 2100 because that's my life. And come and join us on Twitch at that time, and we will see you there. And we love to have the audience. It's usually just Lyle, and Lyle was very upset about, at the time of this recording, our most recent Twitch stream, because I don't know.
There wasn't enough Sonic. That's what it was.
Not enough Sonic, because Sonic
Never
CD,
enough Sonic.
We're going to have to cover that game. But yes, that's what it is.
He said if you want to, and you want to.
Yeah, I don't want
to,
you know. But we need
I always got to talk more about that needle mouse, what goes fast.
Yes. I also want to say thank you very much. I know we said in the opening for our polygonal supporters, but we do have a new Patreon supporter. So thank you very much to Paul Romalo, friend of the show, former guest, for becoming our newest patron. Thank you, Paul, for joining the patron crowd. We deeply, deeply appreciate it. You rock. We really do thank you.
Oh, and also while we're doing quick shout outs, I also wanted to say hey to our super fan, Sam, who has resurfaced once again in our Facebook comments. So thank you for engaging with us as you do. And I promise that we are going to do a Chrono Trigger episode at some point. It will happen.
Oh boy.
It needs to happen. And you could probably, I think, we should be recording this weekend, but you might be able to catch us on another podcast called the Grand Rapidians Video Game Podcast. We might be recording there. So if you listen to them, go ahead and check us out. We're going to be hanging out with them in their future episode. That should be fun.
Yeah. So, Tiger, any place or thing that you would like to plug where people can find you?
I have a Twitter. You can find me at LPTyger. And that's it.
Awesome. It's much more succinct than our shit.
Thankfully.
All right. Yeah, right. Cool. Well, hey, with all of that being said, until next time.
Play with your dragon dickin' joysticks.
Really sold that delivery, Chris. Good job.
Working hard. Like dick dragons.
Shane here with a quick message. You know, the one rule Chris and I have always gone by regarding advertisements is this. It has to be something we use and can personally vouch for. If you know me, you know I love coffee. And Bones Coffee Company has been my go-to for home brewing for quite some time now. Their small batch beans come in an impressive variety of flavors like Mint Invaders from Chocolate Space, or Electric Unicorn, which I swear tastes exactly like Fruity Pebbles. And the best part? No added sugar or calories involved, just natural flavors infused right into the beans themselves. Build your own sample pack of 5 4-ounce bags to find out which flavors speak to you, or jump in head first with full 12-ounce bags. They've even got K-Cups. Step up your homebrew game with Bones Coffee by visiting bit.ly/RHPBones. That's bit.ly/RHPBONES.